No, he was against it the whole way through until he saw a couple of tadpoles go in and get eaten. And then that sparked the imagination of, oh, this is the greatest, this
Oh
is the greatest
no.
entertainment I could ever have. So,
So
I created a little nature lover into a monster.
This episode proudly brought to you by BitRefill, your one-stop shop for living on Bitcoin and Lightning and building out the Bitcoin economy and this Bitcoin world we would all love to see come to fruition. They've got all the best gift cards like Amazon, Apple, Bunnings, Airbnb, Uber, and much more. They've got Coles and Woolies for your groceries, bill fairies to pay your bills, BP and Ampol for your petrol. You can do your hotel bookings or top up your phone credit or buy a gift or phone credit for a friend or loved one overseas. So check them out today, bitrefill.com, and remember to put Bitcoin People in the referral code for 10% Bitcoin back on your first purchase. Hi everyone, I just wanted to thank you for having joined me over the course of this year. It's been a magical year, whether it's been one episode that you've listened in on or multiple, whether you've been here as a guest or a listener. I really appreciate this connection. I have loved being more involved in the Bitcoin community over the course of this year and meeting so many diverse and interesting and smart and capable and funny people. It's been an absolute joy. I wish you a hugely Merry Christmas. I'm taking some time off over the next couple of weeks. I've been in contact with Delio, who some of you may have met in your Bitcoin content meanderings, and he has ever so kindly offered to donate 2 of his episodes with Bitcoiners, getting to know them a little bit more personally. So I hope you enjoyed these couple of episodes over the next couple of weeks, and we'll be back in contact in the new year, back in connection with new episodes in January. I'll look forward to seeing you then, wishing you and your family and your friends and all those around you a really Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. All the best. Take care.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. This episode and the next one are something a little bit different. Carrie and I have been chatting, and, well, the holidays are a time when people are spending time with their family. They're busy, they're doing things. So, well, many of the popular guests that you have grown to know and come to expect on this channel are probably spending time with their families and doing the things that people do around this time of year, being busy, eating, drinking, being merry, etc. The whole reason I recorded this and took this approach was because I wanted to learn more about the person behind the Bitcoiner. I know Peter from his very bullish predictions. I actually, for the first time, encountered him on this channel and then spoke to him, met him in person at Pacific Bitcoin. I think he's a wonderful individual. And I wondered, how did this guy get here? How did he get from being, at some point in time, a very little baby boy and grow into the man that he is today? How did that happen? What are some of his life experiences? Who is this individual? I hope you enjoy this. And if you're here expecting some news about Bitcoin, well, this isn't the one for you. But if you're here to learn more about Peter Dunworth, then you will do that. You will learn about Peter Dunworth. Enjoy. Today, I'm talking to Peter Dunworth, part of the Bitcoin Advisor team. He's helping people set up and store their Bitcoin. And today, we are asking the pressing question. We got a lot of questions here, but the big question is, are you Satoshi? So to start, Peter, tell us a little bit about your upbringing. Let's go all the way back to your mom and dad. Did you call them mom and dad? Was it ma and pa? How did they meet? How did you end up here on planet Earth?
Great question. Wow, that's taken way back. I think mum and dad, it was always mum and dad. And occasionally even to this day, I have my mum in the phone as mummy because I just find it very amusing that a 40-plus-year-old man answers the phone with mummy. So,
yeah.
But I have a very fortunate relationship with both mum and dad, who I admire hugely. And they had a great story themselves in that they'd known each other for a long time, and very fortunate for them that they've had nearly 50 years together. And so I guess 45 years ago or something, I was a twinkle in their eye, and then came along and grew up in a very happy household with mum and dad, and hugely supportive and engaged in whatever we wanted to do. And I was fortunate that I had a little sister, a little brother. And it was a very happy, stable childhood that I'm, forever grateful for. They've provided, my brother and I, literally everything we could ever ask for. So I hope one day.
Did they grow up there in Australia?
Yeah. So
Okay.
literally no one's moved far at all. Like, we go past the family home that they grew up in. We go past the family home that Mum grew up in. In a side note, and sort of this is sort of maybe a sick sense of humour that I have. My mother has a photo, one of my favourite photos of my mother as a child, sitting on the beach in Double Bay with her sister, my auntie. And she would be maybe 3 or 4 years of age at the time. And
Okay. So is this a black and white photo?
yeah, black and white photo.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful photo. And Mum and I share a very similar sense of humour. It's probably quite dark, but funny at the same time. And I looked at the photo, and it's this beautiful photo of her sitting on the beach in Sydney. And Mum and Dad recently, 10 years ago nearly, moved to that very beach that she had the photo on. That's one of her ornaments on her fireplace or whatever it is. And when I saw it and they moved there and they told me they were moving, I was like, oh, isn't that funny, Mum? You grew up on that beach and you're going to die on that beach. She just looked at me like, what's that?
Yeah. I mean, it does seem possible. Like, you grew up there, like you just said, and then have your ashes scattered out on the beach or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did your parents do for a living? Were they in monetarily like you are in the financial world, economics?
No, they worked really hard. Dad and Mum came from very humble beginnings. Dad had quite a difficult upbringing for a number of different reasons, but turned into an incredible human being on every level. One that I admire and literally is a personal hero of mine. So, Mum and Dad as a team, created something really special from a work environment. They were always dedicated to each other and made sure that they put each other first. And the kids were, I wouldn't say a distant second, but it was very clear that the relationship between Mum and Dad was the most important one in the household. And that the kids were, a secondary function of making sure Mum and Dad were good, which was really good because it provided stability for us as kids, and we knew exactly what was going on. When it came to work, Dad had very humble beginnings. He literally started driving a truck. He leased a truck from a mate of his who's still a great mate to this day. He then went and bought a truck. He bought another truck, partnered with, an age-old friend of his who he'd known from the age of 10, and they're still great mates. So he had a trucking business, and then he went into some more detail in transport. Ironically, 45 years ago, probably now, close to it, those two business partners in the same business, it was Worth Transport, was the business name. One of the partners wanted to buy a pub. Mum said to my father, there's no way on earth you're going and buying a pub because you'll drink the profits. And so they split that partnership, and one partner went into pubs and was very successful at that, and the other partner Dad went into basically doing trucks, and he evolved a business from basically transport into the recycling of waste oil, into the recycling of oily waters, and then having treatment facilities which basically recovered and purified a whole heap of the waste so that it was actually palatable for, the water streams that were around here. And obviously there's huge environmental regulations that you've got to adhere to in that capacity. And, fast forward 40 years, and this is maybe 8 years ago now, he sold his business to a large listed entity that was very happy to purchase his business. But it was a company that grew from a single truck driver into a company that had a fairly large turnover and over 150 staff at the end of the day. So he's been very successful, and he's always managed to do that on his own time. He's a very, very clever businessman.
Wow, that is impressive. Yeah, it sounds like from what you just said there that where the business ended up was not the initial idea of the recycling and the repurposing of the water. It was kind of this evolution that happened. It's weird how life will. Is that correct? Did I hear that right? That it kind of ended up there. How did that happen? The transportation. I know we're kind of getting off track here, but that's really interesting. How did he go from the logistics side of things into like where did the spark for the water reclamation come from?
Well, it was twofold. There was sort of a number of iterations. There was the iteration from transport, which was literally delivering flour and chickens across Sydney or New South Wales, and then that went into waste oil, picking up waste oil and recovering that.
Okay.
And what was happening in the waste oil industry at the time is that people were charged to take away waste oil, but there's still hydrocarbons in waste oil that can be used in industrial processes that you can actually sell for fuel. So rather than having to charge people to take it away, he said, look, I'll give you a few cents to take it from you. And he had a market on the other end that required, the reuse of that wasted energy. So he redefined that, and then there was another iteration of the business which was very fortunate into oily waters and sludges. So if you look at the car wash pits and the rest of it, they basically hose down a whole host of cars and dirt and mud and oil into sump pits on site that basically hold the water, and they've got sort of some internal filtering that is pretty basic, but then you've got to go and actually pick up the water and sludges and things like that. So it was just an iteration and following your nose and seeing opportunities. And this is where I've just got such huge respect for his business now. He's been able to find opportunities where other people haven't. So he's been quite a market leader in that respect.
Very interesting. All right. So I just had a friend visiting me from Australia, and he had this grab bag of things. I think he must have gone to a corner store or something and grabbed some different snacks in there. He held it out and said, grab something in here. So I reached in blind, grabbed out, and I pulled out a bag of Frato's chocolates, the little frog.
Yes.
And he told me that apparently there's this ongoing, I don't know if I'd go so far as calling it a battle, but a rivalry between Cadbury and I think it's Whittaker's. Do I have that right? Is two chocolate.
There's Whittaker's and Cadbury. That's correct.
Okay, which do you prefer? Are you a Cadbury guy or Whittaker's?
You know what? Whittaker's is really a New Zealand thing. So, and Cadbury's, I feel, is Australian, but it's obviously British. But it's been here from the day I remember, whereas Whittaker's is only new to the market. It's only maybe 25 years old in Australia. So I'm definitely a glass and a half full kind of dairy milk guy. So okay. Cadbury's it is.
Okay. All right. Have you ever been in a feud with a neighbor?
You know what? A very long time ago, maybe, I want to say close to 20 years ago. Yes, I did.
Okay. How did this happen?
I was in a feud. It's never my fault. It wasn't my fault.
Well, what they do? How did this begin?
I'm joking. Obviously, it takes two to tango. I'm not that naive to think, but this was a problem. I lived in a unit, so basically a condo where we shared a common wall, and my bedroom's common wall where my head was.
I think I can see where this is going.
was against his living room, and so I'm kind of an early bird kind of guy. I'm happy to be in bed very early, but I get up very early, and so this posed quite a problem to his social life and my sleep, in that he thought it was a good idea to come home and start a party at 4 o'clock in the morning with deafening music. And this went on and on and on to the point where there was some severe sleep deprivation, and I can joke about it now, but it got to the point where I'm not sure if you understand, or the viewers understand, how bad it is when you are sleep deprived and how impaired your judgment is when that is the case. But I can tell you, after weeks and weeks of this going on, I got to the point where I was completely at my wit's end. And a mate of mine was running a nightclub in the city at the time, and he was familiar, very friendly with the security and the rest of it, who are big dudes. And I remember this party starting up at about 2 a.m, and I hadn't had a wink of sleep. I'm just like, I'm going to kill someone. So I thought, what can I do here? So I literally get on the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning to my buddy who's managing this club. And firstly, he's like, why on earth is Peter calling me at 2 a.m? I don't call people at 2 a.m. And he's like, hey, mate, is everything all right? I was like, I need your help. He's like, okay, well, what do you need? I said, look, my neighbour's just started a party, and I need you to send some boys around. And he's like, okay, so let me get this right. You can't get to sleep, so you want me to send the security guys around to sort your neighbour out? And I went, yes, that's exactly what I want you to do. And he just goes, fuck off, you fuckwit. Hangs up the phone on me, and I'm like, And in my, cognitively impaired state, I thought that was a perfectly reasonable request, but clearly it wasn't to someone who was on the other side of things. But needless to say, fortunately for me, he was renting and I was owning, so he moved out before I did. It didn't last too long, and it didn't come to blows. So,
did you ever talk to him? Did you ever say, "Hey, man, is there any way you can do this?" Or was
multiple times?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Gosh.
like multiple times knocking on the door, and then hey, look, can you turn it down? Yeah, sure. They'd shut the door and then turn the music up.
Right? Yeah. They just shut the door.
Man,
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice, and it just nothing stuck there. So it was, and sadly in the building there was 30 units in the building, and it kind of fell on me as my responsibility on behalf of the whole building to come and tell this guy to pull his head in, and we're not interested in starting a party at 3 or 4 in the morning. So,
jeez. Okay. Well, this leads me to my next question. Actually, do you own a police scanner?
No, okay. I don't. You know what? I'm really curious about that. I'd love to hear some of the shit that goes on in that.
Oh, yeah.
Have you got one?
I have. No, I don't. I'm sure it's something you could get online, but no, I've never had one, and I've never been around somebody that had one to know what that's like. I guess it just listens in and you hear the chatter. I don't know, actually.
Did Satoshi have one?
I'm not sure. It wouldn't surprise me, though.
Maybe this is a trap question if I answer Satoshi.
Okay, moving on. Do you have any themed rooms in your house, like a log cabin room, a NASCAR room, or an ocean room, like a sea room or something like that?
No, there's not one. If there was anything, there'd be a golf studio, with a golf simulator in there. If I could get that through,
gotcha.
I'd probably put that in. But no, there's definitely not. It's just standard chock vanilla.
Okay. So you're talking about one of those simulators where you've got the screen or whatever, and it's a projector, and I don't know if you actually hit a ball or maybe somewhere you do. Oh, okay, you do, and you whack it.
You literally just whack it into the screen, and
gotcha.
And then the little screen adjusts, and it looks fun.
Okay. Have you ever Googled, quote, how to make money, end quote?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I've quite.
I guess you'd have to sink pretty low if you're like, how do I get even a cent? Where do I start?
As far as how to make money, definitely not. How to do something revolving and making money, absolutely.
Okay, you got any good stories there around something in particular that you were looking for?
Oh, there's been multiple things. Looking at carbon credit, this is 15, nearly 20 years ago. I had a carbon credit business with that we tried to get up and running, but it didn't work. That was back in 2007 with a friend of mine. Also looking at how to save money, how to, basically reduce mortgage payments and things like that. And also when it comes to making money, I think a mate of mine had a business doing, is it drop shipping or, where you sort of build Amazon products for Amazon and you sell it on Amazon. And
oh, yeah, sure. Yes. Yeah.
So what it's called, drop shipping. So
that sounds
curious to learn more about that. It sounds like hard work, and that was kind of the result I got to. It was hard work. So there hasn't really been how to make money per se.
Have you ever purchased or owned anything that was purchased with Marlboro miles, like those coupons that you get for smoking Marlboros, or Camel Cash, anything like that?
I don't even know what Marlboro Miles or Camel Cash is.
Okay.
I love this. Is this like a frequent flyer program for smokers?
Yeah. There's whole catalogs that you could get for smoking these things, and you'd get coupons or Marlboro miles or cash or whatever for smoking, and after you scored enough points, you get a duffel bag or a jacket or a cap or a lighter, whatever the case may be. So I wonder. Surely you have Marlboro or Camel's cigarettes down in Australia. I guess it's not surely, but I would assume so. It's
absolutely we do. Okay. But we've got the most arcane cigarette rules in the world. In that, cigarette companies aren't allowed to brand any of their branding on the package.
So how do you know whose cigarettes?
Correct. So they're basically sold in they're sold behind a counter in a locked in a lock bin that's slid down that you've got to basically ask them to open it up, and then there's sort of stickers and warnings all over it, which detracts from the advertising and the packaging, the marketing of the packaging.
Okay.
So it's bizarre. Like there are these warnings with people missing legs or teeth falling out or all sorts of stuff, and this can happen to you if you smoke. And it's like, no shit, we know it kills you. Like, why?
Who's missing a leg from smoking? I've never heard of that one.
Like gangrene and blood flow and, heart attacks, or, take your pick as to what horrible things can happen to you if you smoke. And it's just probably the overreach of our overzealous government down here in Australia to, protect us.
How long's it been that way? I can't imagine it's been that way forever.
I would have thought at least 10 years.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, and to put this into perspective, like in Australia, a packet of cigarettes is circa $50+.
$50?
Yeah, it's so expensive.
Holy smoke! How many people are smoking?
A lot, and
really?
I don't know how they afford it, because probably I would have thought at least 50% of the cost of the packet of cigarettes is in taxes. Like $25 a pack goes to government taxes. In some way, shape, or form. Yes,
that is
obscene.
Somebody is making a killing in the government, just like, hey, these smokers, they don't know when to stop, clearly, so let's just keep on. Give me another mansion here. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a timeshare sales pitch or been through one of those?
Oh, I want to say yes, because I've either been to one or I've watched one on YouTube, the feeling of which was
watched
the same.
One on YouTube? Why in the world would you do that? You have the option, just click any other of a million videos, and you're sitting there watching a timeshare. What in the world could compel you to do that? Just to see what it was like?
Why do you have to break it down like I'm a weirdo?
Was it curiosity?
It was. It was exactly curiosity, because I was like, the real question was, who the fuck on earth buys these? How do they sell them? So literally either going to one or clicking on one, I was watching to try and figure out who actually does this. So
was it like a live recording? Like this was somebody, like a presentation, like a TED Talk kind of thing, where it was for the viewer, or is it just kind of like somebody off to the side? Hey, I'm documenting this thing that's happening.
I'm here recording from the side. So okay. I was just curious from a sales process perspective to see how does this stuff ever get sold, because it's got such a negative connotation. So it was, to give me some credit, maybe it was a curiosity around a sales process and understanding that.
Gotcha. Okay. So, but never one in person, because usually they'll get you. They got me one time on a Vegas thing. It was part of a deal. I'll tell you about it here in a second. But they usually get you when you're on a trip. So if you're at a hotel, they'll say, hey, you can go on this tour. You can do this. We'll give you 2 nights free at the hotel, whatever the case may be. Pay for your airfare back, free flight if you go to the sales pitch, because obviously the hope is that they sell you on this product and they get you locked in for a portion of this thing. So I'm surprised with all the traveling you've done, which at least I imagine you've done a fair bit, that they've never wrangled you in. Maybe you didn't need the incentive that they were offering.
No, I'd never. From an early days, as early as I can remember, Dad always told us there was no such thing as a free lunch, or if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So whenever someone tells me, hey, you can have a free holiday, I understand I'm the product, so what's the catch?
Yeah. So, I'll tell you a short little story. I went to Vegas, and I think that I got either a free plane ticket or a free maybe weekend, a few nights stay at a hotel. And I thought, okay, great. This is that sounds wonderful. And I knew that the deal was to go to this timeshare sales pitch. And I thought, I have no money. I've got like 43 and 26 cents in the bank account. There's zero chance that they're selling me. So I'll go. It's something to do. Apparently there's refreshments there. So I'll go. I'll take the trip. I'll putz off or whatever. So I get there. They walk me through. They give me a tour of the place. It's like an upscale apartment kind of thing. And all right, this is neat. I guess if you like going to Vegas, I forget, it was 10 miles away from the strip or something like that. And I told them when they got me off to the side, like, all right, so which one are you interested in, unit A, B, or C? I was like, I have no money. There's zero chance that I can buy this. And they kept on like, well, no, you don't understand that it basically pays for itself. Or they're like, I can show you my bank account on my phone. I have $0 to afford this. You're asking for some $1,000 down payment deal on this. That's just not possible. And finally, after multiple times of telling them this, they're like, all right, I guess go get in line for the bus back. I did that. I was like, why? So it ended poorly for them, but hey, I still got my free night stay or whatever it was at the hotel. So that was nice.
You know what? Before we move on to the next question, I can tell you exactly the timeshare product that I looked at. And it's a funny story. And I was trying to remember what it was. So as a 21-year-old, I went with a mate to Aspen on a ski holiday, and his father was a very successful developer, known definitely Australia-wide, maybe globally. And one of the developers there had invited him to check out the new timeshare development that he was doing. And so we got a full tour, my friend and I, and his father and his builder, and from the developer who was running this, and, you know, over here is this and here's that, and this is how we do this. And basically everyone was basically nodding, oh, this is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And then we walk out of we say goodbye to the developer who's doing it. We walk out, and I just hear my dad's mate say, oh, it's a do-it-yourself, blah, blah, blah. And so I didn't hear him, and I yell out, oh, it's a do-it-yourself what? And he just ignores me. And I'm thinking, why did he ignore me? I knew he could hear me, and I'm thinking, why has he ignored me? So we get in the car, and I'm like, oh, I didn't hear you back there. So I yelled out, and I was just wondering why you ignored me, and what did you say? And he goes, I said I called it a do-it-yourself bankruptcy kit, and I wasn't going to scream that out in the developer's earshot.
Oh, God.
I was like, oh, I'm really sorry.
Gee.
Yeah.
I said it's a do-it-yourself bankruptcy. God. Oh, man. Okay. All right. So
that is one that I've actually walked through and seen. So
and that was
the sales pitch that I got, but yeah.
And that was there in Aspen, you said?
It was.
Yeah, that definitely seems like a place where they would do that.
Yeah.
I imagine you've got corn dogs there in Australia, surely.
We don't call them corn dogs.
What do you call them?
God, what is it? It's it's not a doner kebab. It's something like, it's a dog on a stick, right, with a bit of batter on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've got those, but we just don't call them corn dogs. It's like a carnival attraction. They sell it at carnivals. That's about it. Okay. We don't have it anywhere else. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe if you don't get them anywhere else besides carnival, the question is, do you eat the crusty bits that are left on the stick after you're finished with the corn dog?
Oh, you'd have to, wouldn't you?
Okay.
I've never eaten one though.
Oh, okay.
That'd be the best bit. That's like say a chocolate ice cream on a stick.
Yeah.
And they've dipped it in the chocolate, the vanilla in the chocolate. Then you finish it off, and then the best bit of the whole ice cream is that chocolate little base around the stick.
Yeah, the little
not eat it, right?
Yeah, of course. Okay. So you haven't had one, but you would if you did. Okay.
I'd definitely do that, yeah.
Have you ever owned a snake?
No. Terrified of snakes. No chance.
Really?
No way. Oh, no way. But I'll tell you what I did do. Many moons ago, I was babysitting one of our family friends, and one of the kids...
You're going to say babysitting a snake?
No. But the kid whose name is Charlie was a family friend, and he had a little brother and a little sister, and obviously they were stuck for a babysitter one night. I would have been 15 at the time, and they said, Pete, do you want to come down and babysit? Because I was 8 years older. I was like, yep, sure, no problem. It was a one-off and one only, but in that babysitting night, he was a real nature lover, and he cared for these animals and thought it was, really, he was a real nature lover. And
this is the 8-year-old?
This is the 8-year-old.
Okay.
And he was breeding some tadpoles, and I was like, let's grab the tadpoles and pour them into the goldfish bowl and see what happens. And he's like, no, we can't do that. And I was like, yeah, we can do this. Watch this. And he's like nearly in tears, crying, thinking, Fuck, you're going to kill all my tadpoles. I didn't kill them all, but like we poured in a whole bunch. And then the spectacle happened. It was like watching a little, a miniature version of Jaws cruise around and just these goldfish eating these tadpoles. And
I love how the kid knew this, and you're just like, oh, that'll be fine. They're going to be pals.
I knew they weren't. I just wanted to see what happened. But what was really funny about this, his initial response of, no, this is a terrible idea, don't do it, turned into, let's pour the whole packet in because I want to see these little tadpoles get eaten. So,
oh my God. Yeah. Wait, so did you get him to come around to the idea, or was he against it the whole way through?
No, he was against it the whole way through until he saw a couple of tadpoles go in and get eaten. And then that sparked the imagination of, oh, this is the greatest, greatest entertainment I could ever have. So I created a little nature lover into a monster.
So he was against it until he saw it, and then he saw it. He's like, well, this is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That makes me think of like having somebody raising bunnies and they're like, let's see what happens when we release them into the wolf kit pen. It's like, no, not the bunnies. And you do it. It's like, okay, this is actually kind of badass.
Exactly. So.
All right. Have you ever been in a physical fight?
Yeah, plenty.
Plenty? Okay.
Yeah.
What's one of the more memorable ones then? What's the most recent one? Please tell me it's been more than a few years.
Oh, it's been nearly 2 decades.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah.
So you're down in the street getting in brawls and you're mean.
No.
Well, at Pacific Bitcoin, Delio, you just missed one.
Definitely not.
Corey and I just...
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Okay.
I bruise like a grape. So just, if anyone's thinking about it, just tell me you want to hit and hurt me, and I'll run as fast as I can. So, yeah, I'm not much for that. It's that's a very different time and a long time ago. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Bar brawls or.
Yeah. There was that. There was sticking up for a friend.
That's a decent one.
Yeah, I remember basically getting into a huge fight with a huge group of people because actually this is a funny story. So I was out with a friend of mine who had literally just been run over by a speedboat and he was missing his skull. Literally, he had his skull removed, so he had this huge indent in his skull. Wow. And the problem with that is if you whack that, you're literally damaging your brain and have permanent damage. And
I thought the problem with missing a piece of your skull was that you're missing a fucking piece of your skull.
So what's amazing about this guy, and he's a very, very dear friend of mine who I have huge affection for because I spent nearly 4 years living at their house during university. So I'm eternally grateful to he and his 3 other brothers, his mother and father, just a beautiful family. But the story goes, we were out one night and we're walking along and someone basically, was mouthing off about something. Someone in our group said something and something along the lines of, oh, yeah, so-and-so did, something about your mother. And you can imagine how this went. And what was really comical about this was the 2 smallest guys out of the 2 groups of people were the lippiest. And one of our guys said, who said that? And the small lippy guy in the other group pointed to the biggest guy in the group and said, he said it. What are you going to do about it? And before he could get the words out of his mouth, this little guy ran across 5 meters to run and jump and beat the shit out of this big bloke.
Oh, no.
And I'm sitting there watching what's going on, thinking just the actual, like, the again, that sense of, like, a very dark sense of humor that this small little lippy smartass had said something, pointed to his big mate who didn't even know what was going on. His big mate was standing there like, what? And then he's got this little midget run across the street, jump up and punch him. Oh, yeah, stupidity. No one got hurt. Everyone went home, and my mate with a broken head, he got home safely, but I had to step in and, basically protect him from having the other side of his head cracked in. So.
Yeah. I guess worst case scenario is that side gets mushed in. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, let's lighten things up a little bit. At a Mexican restaurant, are you going to be finishing the free chips and salsa before the entree arrives?
No, definitely not.
No, okay.
No, not a salsa guy. If it was guacamole, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's guacamole, then yeah, all over that. That's got to be tended to.
Okay.
Do you just let it sit there for the whole meal, or?
Oh God, no. Free food is free food. I'll devour that. And I grew up in Arizona where chips and salsa was at every church gather. I mean, it's just you had it around. They're like, hey, you guys hungry? Chips and salsa. So yeah, I love chips and salsa. It depends on the salsa. Sometimes you go to a restaurant, it's like, what the hell is this? This is garbage. But usually if it's even a halfway decent Mexican restaurant, they're either making it there or they're getting it from some locally made place. I think there's only been 1 or 2 times ever where I've tasted the salsa and I thought, okay, this is terrible, but that's very rare. If there was ever a Peter Dunworth movie or a Bitcoin Advisor movie talking about the story, who's going to play you?
Oh, good question. Haven't even thought about it. I'll tell you what's a far more interesting story than my story is Michael's story. That's the one I want to see in
Michael, your brother?
Brother.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one I'd really like to see. And because he's got a good head of hair and he's a good looking dude, you could get a whole host of people to play that. But I'm struggling to find sort of big, bald, fat blokes who are Hollywood stars
We just get
to play
Jonah
that
Hill
role.
and then buzz his hair.
Oh, but we got to pack him back on again. Hasn't he lost a whole heap of weight? So he's sort of looking, really fit now.
Has he? I don't know. I haven't seen him in something recently. Okay. All right.
Oh, maybe Jack Black. If we shave
There you
Jack
go.
Black's head, then yeah. I love
Yeah,
Jack
he's got
Black.
a giant beard though. Okay.
Yeah.
That's always interesting that to me that like I've got multiple brothers and it's so interesting that even though you grow up in basically the same place, that's true for all my brothers, same parents, sounds like it's the same for you, that at a certain point you just go in this completely different direction. I mean, for the first 10 years of my life, same story, more or less as my brother, a few different interests here and there. But once we hit our teens and then 20s, it's just this huge divergence. It's a fractal. So that is interesting. And I look forward to talking to your brother at some point to see the differences there.
Yeah.
Do you have any collections that were intended, like you got into it for the purpose of an investment and things that weren't necessarily supposed to be an investment, such as Beanie Babies or baseball cards or Pogs, if you were paying it? I think you're probably a little bit beyond that, but anything like that?
No, the closest thing I've got to it is a collection of golf clubs, different sets of golf clubs. I've got a lot of those. And growing up as a kid, Dad used to, bag the shit out of me for having a collection of cricket bats.
Okay.
And I was trading cricket bats, but I was really just collecting them. So in that vein, yeah.
What is the point? Like, if you have one, don't you have all of them? It's just
correct. You do, but there was one that I really liked, and that was getting worked on. And then I was going to sell that one, but I'd use that occasionally for practice. And then there was a game day bat, and anyway, it was stupid. And Dad quite rightly just said, what on earth are you doing? There's 3 or 4 cricket bats sitting in here. You can't need more than one. And he was right. So
before we got going, you mentioned golfing. Is that your largest hobby / vice?
Easily. Yeah.
Okay.
Easily.
Okay.
And it's an unrequited love. So I love it, but it does not love me.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's a punish. I try so hard. I really care about it, and it gives me absolutely nothing.
Gotcha.
I am so bad at it. I'm just like, I didn't know it's possible to be this bad after spending so much time doing it. And what's funny, and just sort of a quirky side note here, it got so bad that I had to ask my brother, who I think he may have invented time travel, and I said, are you going back in time to just move my ball a little bit just before I hit it so it goes sideways to watch my reaction, throwing a tantrum that I haven't hit the ball the way I want to? And he said, no. And I said, can I get your promise that you'll never do that to me again? He's like, absolutely, I'll do that. So it just confounds me how I can be so and I know how important self-talk is, but the amount of effort I make with that game for the reward that I get is totally skewed in the wrong direction.
Have you ever gotten a hole-in-one, ever?
Never, but the closest I got to a hole-in-one was playing with my father as a kid. I was about 100 metres off the green. I hit a 4-iron or something like that as a 10-year-old kid over the green to a tee box that was adjacent to the back of the green with an old lady standing on it who would have been 70 years at the time. And she was standing over her ball about to take a shot.
Oh, no.
And the ball flew over, it bounced just before her, and then it literally went and bounced and stopped between her butt cheeks as she's about to take a shot. True story. And
wait, it landed on her actual butt?
No, it bounced and then, then it went up into her ass, her fanny.
What?
And yeah, no joke. And she literally pulls the ball out from between her ass cheeks, holds it up, and says, to quote, "Buy a lottery ticket and call it Fanny because that's where it landed." And as a 10-year-old kid, I am completely shocked. I look at Dad. I'm like, Dad, what do I do? And he's like, "Have your shot, son." So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that brings a whole new definition to hole. So I'm going to say you did have a hole-in-one, just of a different variety.
Different variety.
Yeah. Wow. That is impressive. How long have you been golfing? When did you start?
Maybe 15 years ago.
Okay.
Probably close to 20, actually. So it's something I love to do.
What is it that brings you back to it? You say you're terrible at it, but so what is the part that makes you go back out to the green each time?
It's almost like a meditation. So some people walk, some people hit golf balls. There's something quite therapeutic about just being able to switch off. No phones on the golf course, so you can't be contacted, which is a great way to switch off in this environment where you're 100% on every second of the day. It's nice being able to turn things off, walk around in nature, and get some fresh air, get a walk in, swing a club. And I've stopped caring about the golf so much and just enjoy it for what it is now.
Is the no phone, is that a club imposed rule or is that a self-imposed rule?
Club.
Oh, interesting. So you can't, like, if you did hit a home run, or not a home run, gee, what am I talking about? A hole in one, you'd be like, well, there's no video of it, and you got to believe me.
There'd be no video of it, but there'd be probably a video going up to pull the ball out of the hole and a photo and the rest of it. So you can do that sort of stuff. You just can't be on your phone talking, and unless you're a doctor. So.
Oh, I thought you meant like you physically could not have your phone on the course. They're like, you got to lock it up before you even go out there.
No, you have it on the course with you.
Gotcha,
so you can check messages, and you're just not. It's being on the phone. On a phone call on the course is not taken well.
Okay. Has anyone in your family, including you, ever claimed to have seen a UFO or ghost?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I'm up for that UFO though. I'd like to see that.
Okay. What's your take on both those things? Do you think is it yes, they exist, I don't know, I'm indifferent, or absolutely not, somewhere in there?
Probably a little bit of indifference, but I think if you've got, I think we're all living in our own matrix. So it's basically whatever you want it to be. If you want aliens and ghosts, then hey, there's aliens and ghosts. Like, I can't reprogram that head of yours. I don't know what's in it. So for me, I think there's a very slim possibility that that's a reality. So it's just like, well, no, but it's fun to entertain. I love the thought of, aliens coming down and giving us great technology that can move the world forward. And who knows, maybe Bitcoin was given to us. Yeah. By aliens. But yeah.
All right. Do you own a butterfly knife or shuriken or any other mall ninja gear?
No, but I love the idea of nunchucks.
Okay.
I really love the idea of nunchucks, but I've got that lack of coordination that I think I'd whip it and it'd come back and whack me in the head. So for that reason, I just can't have them in the house.
You swing down and somehow the other half comes up and smacks you in the head. Like, how does this even happen?
Totally. Do you remember that video from about maybe 20 years ago with the guy doing the nunchucks, and then he does a backflip, but he lands on his head and nearly knocks himself out, and then he stands up and he's trying to do the nunchucks, but he's clearly like totally disoriented and then ends up falling out of the picture?
God, no, I don't. I have not seen that. At least I don't recall if I have. Gosh, that
we should put it in the show notes. Just
Okay, I'll look it up if I can find it. So it's a guy doing nunchucks, and then just does a flip and bonks himself. Then he gets back up and tries to keep going, but he's clearly dazed.
And then just walks off, falls out of the screen. Yeah, it's great.
Okay. Do any of your current residences or places that you have lived in the past have red or green carpeting?
No and no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No, it's not a Christmas scene. Yeah.
Well, no, it wouldn't have to be, but okay. That'd be funny. Alternating rooms, red and green. All right. And the last question that I've got here is, do you have anything currently, or I guess in the past, decorated with bottle caps?
No, but I did spend some time at University of Virginia with some mates who had arguably the most impressive wall of empty beer cans and bottle tops that I'd seen. So that's about the closest I've seen.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been fun, Peter. It's been nice knowing a little bit more, learning a little bit more about you. And based off this, I'm going to say there's about a 22.5% chance that you could be Satoshi. So it's not real, not looking like it, but we never know. So there's a chance. There's a chance.
Maybe that's the devil's greatest trick, Kaiser Sose.
Yeah. Let people know where they can find you online.
Sure thing. I'm on Twitter. Probably the best place to grab me is at Peter BTC Advisor with an ER. Alternatively, there's a website that we've got a stack of resources if you want help getting your Bitcoins into cold storage and off exchanges, and that is thebitcoinadvisor.com. And we'd love to help you. And if you don't want to help, there's a stack of resources which will help you safely custody that in the best way possible. So have a look there.
All right. Very good. Thank you so much for popping in and doing this with me. And I look forward to catching up with you again in some future time.
Look forward to it. Thanks for having me. Great to chat.
Bye.